First at 4, Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton filed a first-of-its-kind lawsuit against the city of San Antonio for violating the state's sanctuary cities law. Eyewitness News reporter Roxy Bustamante joins us now. And Roxy, how is the city responding to this pending lawsuit?
Deborah, the city attorney says he is confident that the city nor Chief William McManus violated regulations of Texas Senate Bill 4. Now, this all centers around an incident that happened back in December of last year. You can see it happen on the northeast side there near Splashtown when police found a trailer with 12 people from Guatemala. Now, Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton claims Police Chief McManus failed to get federal authorities involved and did not complete a background check or criminal history on any of the 12 people who were believed to be undocumented immigrants. Now, they were instead turned over to Catholic Charities, and you're seeing an image here now of the driver, Herbert Nichols, who was arrested and charged in this incident. Now, the city attorney released this statement that reads, "The Attorney General's characterization of what happened that day are clearly aimed at furthering a political agenda. The city has a long history of cooperating with federal authorities and will continue to do so. The city's process for handling human smuggling and trafficking incidents was created in coordination with the federal government, and federal officials are not taking issue with how we are handling immigration issues." Now, Senate Bill 4 went into effect in September of last year before this whole incident happened. It requires local police of sanctuary cities to cooperate with federal immigration authorities and allow officers to question people's immigration status regardless if their status is legal or not. Now, coming up tonight at 10, you'll hear more from City Manager Cheryl Scully and her perspective on this lawsuit. Roxy Bustamante, KENS 5 Eyewitness News.
Roxy, thank you.